Most people never realize this, but the mind you're using right now isn't truly yours. It's a collage of old memories, inherited fears, childhood conclusions, and silent decisions you made years ago without knowing. And every morning, when you open your eyes, you don't wake up. You resume a pattern, a loop, a mental script written long before you became conscious of it. This is why change feels impossible, not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because your brain has been rehearsing the same emotional reality for so long that it believes it's the truth. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this phenomenon the biological past, a version of you that survives by repeating the same thoughts, the same behaviors, the same feelings, even when they hurt you. Think about it. How many times have you tried to become a new person while carrying the emotional weight of the old one? How many times have you said, "This week will be different," only to fall back into the same anxiety, the same overthinking, the same self-sabotage? There is a reason for this. Not mystical, not magical. Pure neuroscience. Your brain is a prediction machine. It doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about familiarity. It clings to what it knows, even if what it knows is destroying you. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never dare to confront. You do not have thoughts. Your thoughts have you. They fire automatically. They create the same emotions. They drive the same behaviors. They repeat the same life, until you interrupt the cycle. In this video, you will learn the exact 7-day reprogramming method inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, a process that works not because of manifestation magic, but because it attacks the root of the problem, the neurological loop that keeps you trapped in yesterday. Over the next minutes, you will see why your brain resists change, how your body becomes addicted to old emotions, and what you must do, practically, scientifically, and psychologically, to break the loop. But be warned, this is not a comfort story. It is a confrontation with everything inside you that refuses to evolve. There is a silent force inside you that fights every attempt at change. It's not laziness. It's not lack of willpower. It's not lack of motivation. It's something far more subtle and far more powerful. Your brain is wired to make your past feel safer than your future. Every emotion you've repeated for years, stress, guilt, frustration, self-doubt, has carved deep neurological grooves. Your nervous system has memorized these emotions so well that they've become a baseline identity, a familiar home. And whenever you try to step outside of that emotional home, the body sends you subtle signals trying to pull you back. This is why you wake up with the same tension in your chest, why you feel the same looping thoughts, why certain memories keep resurfacing even when you want to let them go. It's not psychological weakness, it's conditioning. Dr. So. Joe Dispenza often explains that the body becomes the mind, meaning, after years of repetition, your emotions start thinking for you. They trigger automatic reactions, the same fears, the same interpretations, the same stories you tell yourself in silence. You think you are choosing your thoughts, but most days you're simply replaying them. This invisible problem shows up in small moments, when you try to meditate, and your brain refuses to calm down. When you decide to change a habit and your body feels restless or irritated. When you want to start a new project and suddenly you're exhausted. When you think of a better version of yourself, but feel unworthy of becoming it. These are not random failures. These are withdrawal symptoms from an emotional addiction. Your brain is addicted to your past identity, the version of you shaped by old patterns, old fears, and old narratives. And any attempt to break free triggers an internal alarm. This is different. This is unfamiliar. This is dangerous. So you self-sabotage not because you want to fail, but because your brain is trying to protect you from the unknown. Understanding this is crucial, because once you can see the enemy, you can disarm it, and once you see the cage, you can walk out of it. If this is already opening your mind, consider liking this video. It helps this message reach more people who need this kind of clarity. In 1981, a small group of volunteers entered a building that looked like a time capsule. Everything inside, the furniture, the magazines, the television programs, belonged to the year 1959. They were instructed to behave as if they were physically living in that year again. Not remembering it, living it. What happened next has become one of the most fascinating demonstrations of mental reprogramming in modern psychology. Over the course of just a few days, their bodies began to respond to the environment of their imagined past. Their joints loosened, their cognition sharpened, their posture improved. Even their biological markers, eyesight, hearing, blood pressure, began shifting in measurable ways. Nothing magical happened. They simply changed the story their brain believed. Dr. Joe Dispenza often references research like this to illustrate a single, profound truth. The brain doesn't respond to reality, it responds to perception, to the meaning you assign, to the story you inhabit, to the identity you rehearse. Let's bring this closer. A former client I once studied, Michael, lived for years under one repeating thought. I'm not the kind of person who succeeds. It didn't matter how many books he read. It didn't matter how many goals he set. Every attempt at progress collapsed under that quiet story running in the background. One day, during a retreat inspired by Dispenza's work, he was guided through a simple but uncomfortable exercise. Imagine living as the version of himself he secretly believed he could never become, not visualizing it like a child imagining a fantasy, but embodying it, emotions first. For the first time in years, his body felt what confidence might feel like, what calm might feel like, what self-respect might feel like. And that emotional rehearsal triggered something his conscious mind had been unable to access. A new possibility, a new neurological script. Within a week, his habits shifted, not through force, through identity. Stories like these are not exceptions. They are demonstrations of how quickly the brain can rearrange itself when the emotional environment changes. And if you're fascinated by the hidden architecture of human behavior, subscribe to Inner Truth Lab so you don't miss the next insights. Here is the moment where the illusion breaks, the moment most people avoid because it forces them to confront something uncomfortable. Your brain is not resisting change. It is obeying your identity. Everything you think, feel, and do is filtered through a silent question your subconscious asks thousands of times per day. Is this who we are? If the answer is no, the brain shuts the door. It blocks the behavior. It drags you back to the familiar emotional state you've been rehearsing for years. This is why people stay stuck even when they desperately want to change. They try to create a new life with the emotional signature of their old self. Dr. Joe Dispenza's breakthrough insight is that identity is not psychological, it is neurological. Your personality, your thoughts, emotions, habits, is built on networks of neurons firing in repeated patterns. And because the brain is efficient, it starts automating those patterns. So when you feel anxiety every morning, that's not you. That's your brain firing the same neural circuit it fired yesterday. When you overthink in circles, it's not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of a pathway your brain has rehearsed thousands of times. And when you try to change, your body, addicted to the emotions of the past, sends you back into the loop. This is the core mechanism Dispenza exposes. You cannot think greater than your feelings until you stop feeling like the old you. That's the real trap. People try to positive think their way out of mental patterns while still carrying the emotional imprint of their old identity. It's like trying to build a new house on a foundation that is cracked. The key is not force of will. The key is interrupting the emotional cycle that keeps recreating the same reality. And here's the revelation most people never hear. The moment you observe a thought without emotionally participating in it, you break the neural circuit that sustains it. You become the observer instead of the actor, the architect instead of the prisoner. Once that happens, even for a few seconds, the brain enters a state of plasticity. It becomes reorganizable. It becomes open to new wiring. Have you ever noticed this pattern in yourself or someone else? If a part of this truth hit you, let me know in the comments. Your perspective may help someone reading. If the insight is clear, that identity lives in circuits, and change happens when those circuits are interrupted, then the question becomes how to do it. How to rewire a brain that has been playing the same tape for decades in just 7 days. Here is a simple yet powerful protocol. Think of it not as a quick fix, but as a conscious initiation into a new self. Day 1. Observation without judgment. Spend 20 minutes sitting quietly. Notice every thought that arises, but don't follow it. Watch it as if you were watching clouds pass in a sky. No judgment, no commentary, just observation. Let your body settle. Let your breath slow. This is the first crack in the old circuitry. Day 2. Emotional inventory. During the same quiet time, bring awareness to the emotions accompanying your thoughts. Are you anxious, defensive, lonely, hurt? Greet each feeling gently. Name it. Let it be. Don't try to change it yet. Simply let your nervous system hear that you have changed the tone, that you are no longer feeding the same old soundtrack. Day 3. Intention statement. Write down a single sentence. Who you intend to become. Not what you want to do, but who you want to be. Example. I am calm, I am clear, I am creative. Speak it aloud. Feel the words. Let them resonate in your body, then put them away and carry that intention silently throughout the day. Day 4. Embodiment through action. Choose one small concrete action that embodies that intention. Maybe you sit by the window and simply observe the light. Maybe you walk slowly without rushing. Maybe you allow yourself to pause before reacting. Do that action. Deliberately, slowly, as if you are already the person you intend to become. Day 5. Break the routine. Change your environment or your schedule slightly. Take a different route to work or to your day. Prepare a new meal. Listen to a genre of music you've never explored. Wear different clothes. The brain associates change with danger, but when you gently surprise it with safety, you begin to loosen its grip. Day 6. Reinforcement. Through gratitude and reflection. At the end of the day, write down 3 experiences that felt different. Moments where you reacted calmly instead of reflexively. Times when your attention felt clearer. Situations where you didn't repeat the old tape. Let these observations embed themselves in your memory as proof that something is shifting. Day 7. Internalization and future projection. Spend time visualizing yourself 6 months ahead, living from your new identity. Feel how your body moves, how you breathe, how your thoughts unfold. Let that template settle in your nervous system. Know that this is not a fantasy. It is a new neurological possibility. Each of these steps is small, imperceptible, but together, day after day, they begin to form new circuits, new identity, new reality. These are not quick fixes. They are gentle, honest invitations to become your own creator. Let this sink in. Try to sense the shift that even a single step can spark. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever tried something like this? Did you feel anything change? Your perspective may help someone reading. There is a part of this conversation that most people skip, not because it's complicated, but because it's uncomfortable. When you begin altering the internal architecture of your mind, you are not just becoming positive or thinking differently. You are shifting the very ground on which your personality stands, and that power can be dangerous if misunderstood. Reprogramming the brain isn't about escaping responsibility. It isn't about bypassing trauma. And it certainly isn't about pretending your past never happened. The opposite is true. Real transformation requires confronting your past with honesty, without letting it decide your future. There is a reason Dr. Joe Dispenza repeatedly emphasizes coherence, responsibility, and emotional maturity. When the brain becomes malleable, anything can be planted into it. Clarity or delusion, discipline or fantasy, grounded self-awareness or spiritual escapism. If you approach this work with desperation instead of stability, your mind can start using reprogramming as a way to avoid the very wounds that need attention. You may create a new identity, not because it's true, but because it helps you escape discomfort. You may chase altered states of consciousness, instead of confronting the painful truths shaping your behavior. You may seek instant transformation and ignore the emotional roots that require patience and compassion. This is where many people lose themselves. They treat mental rewiring like a drug, something to numb the internal conflict rather than resolve it. So here is the ethical truth you must hold on to. Do not use this process to disconnect from reality. Use it to meet reality with a stronger, calmer mind. Be cautious with any teacher, any method, any voice, including mine, that tells you this process will erase your pain instantly. It won't. It will reorganize how you relate to your pain. It will give you the capacity to respond differently, but the inner work must still be done with integrity. Another warning: as you change, people around you may not understand. Some may resist your growth because it disrupts the version of you they were comfortable with. Be gentle, but firm. Your transformation does not require their permission. And most importantly, don't rush. The brain changes with repetition, not with intensity. 7 days is enough to begin the shift, but it is not enough to complete it. Think of it as opening the door. Walking through it is a lifelong practice. If you treat this process with respect, humility, patience, and grounded intention, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for liberation you will ever touch.